So my name is Tino, and I'm going to be talking about tattoos. And tattooing is an art. You have tools, you have materials, and you have a canvas. The tattoo gun, the ink, and the human skin. But the art of tattooing is much more complicated than that, because it's not just about what you see on the skin. It's deeper than that. Tattooing is catharsis, it's emotional catharsis. It's, there's this other level to it. When we get tattoos, we're storytellers. We tell the stories of our own lives. We tell the stories of the obstacles that we've had to overcome, the lessons we've learned, who we think we are, and what we still have to face. But it's not just our own stories that we're telling when we have tattoos. We tell the stories of the artists whose work we carry with us. And it's a story that's just as important. So what I want to do today is talk about tattoos, but I want to talk about the two aspects that I love the most: the actual physical art itself, as well as the story behind it. So I'm just going to show you a couple of examples. So this is one of my all-time favorite tattoos, and the symbol, of course, this is of course a phoenix, and the symbolism behind the phoenix, as you all well know, is rebirth, and by extension and metaphor, overcoming obstacles and perseverance. And I think that we all identify with the symbolism of the phoenix because we all face obstacles in life. We all have things that we need to overcome. And like the phoenix, we all want to rise from our own ashes, from the ashes of our own failures. So this is my mom. And I know that everyone says that they have the most cool and the coolest and the most badass mom. I have the coolest and most badass mom. I actually think she's watching from the live stream, so hi, Mom. So my mom is an incredible woman. She's the kind of woman that Maya Angelou would call a phenomenal woman, and the kind of mom that Kanye West would write a song about. I love that song too. But my mom's been through a lot in her life. She's been through 2 abusive marriages. She's lived in 3 different countries where she didn't always know the language, and she rarely knew anyone there. She's gone through poverty, and I've gone through poverty with her, but I never went hungry. And she's through it all, she's just become this incredible woman that I'm extremely proud to call my mother. You know, people have tried to push her down and push her around, and she's stood tall through it all, and she has risen from her own ashes, and she's had to restart her life more times than I probably know, and I have incredible admiration for her. And let's not forget that she had to raise me. So this is another one of my favorite tattoos. And I can walk, you guys it won't block your view. I'm not that tall, am I? Okay, so this is another one of my favorites. When you think about where you grew up and how that affected how you became as a person, it's kind of crazy to think about if you were to grow up somewhere else. I know I think about it all the time. I mean, I moved a lot when I was a kid, and how that shaped me as a person. And those of you who have grown up in the same house your entire life, how that shaped you as a person. So tattooing, very often, the motifs that we use are all about where we're from and representing that homeland of ours, whatever that may be. And this girl is obviously from New York. She's very, very passionate about New York. She's a Brooklyn girl, and she loves Brooklyn. And the only thing that matches her passion and love of Brooklyn and New York City is her passion for film. So this is actually the logo from the New York City Mayor's Office of Film, Theater, and Broadcasting. And I love it because it personifies her so incredibly well. But what I also love about it is how obvious it is, how visible it is. If you can't tell, she has it right here. And I was talking to Dan Goldstein, and I don't think he made it today, which is unfortunate, but he owns Clear Conscience Cafe down in Central Square. You should all go. And I was talking to him about tattoos, and what he was saying was, at some point, you have to make a decision. Are you going to be a tattooed individual, or are you not? And makes sense, right? But it goes to showing your tattoos and being proud of it. And this girl, she's definitely not ashamed of her tattoos, and she's not ashamed of her city either. All right, so this tattoo is all about duality, and so the symbolism, the symbols here are the swallows, and swallows I would consider some of the earliest motifs of what would be modern tattoo culture, and sailors used to get them when they went abroad, when they crossed oceans. The cool thing about swallows is that they fly the furthest out to sea, so they're the first sign of land the sailors see. There was a pun there. And but the cool thing about them is that, so sailors would get one when they went abroad, and then they would get another one when they came back. So in that way, there's a duality to it, in that swallows are symbols both of traveling and of homecoming. And the other aspect of the duality of this tattoo is what you see, the blessing and the curse, what it says on the banner. And that speaks to the experience that I think we've all had, where something starts out being very exciting, it's this blessing, and then somehow it just all turns to shit. I'm sure we've all had that happen. And then things that start out that you think is going to be a curse, that you think is going to be horrible, and it becomes this formative, incredible experience, and it ends up being something good and positive for you. And, you know, in tattoos and in these pictures I'm showing, we tend to come back to the theme of obstacles and overcoming obstacles. You know, sometimes the oceans that we have to cross aren't physical. They are metaphorical, they're emotional, they're psychological, and they're no more or less difficult to cross than the physical ones, but they're just as important. And that's what this is all about. It's all about remembering to keep your eyes out for the swallows, because there's always going to be a port. And it's about keeping your mind open, because whatever experiences you face, it's not always what you think it is. So the last tattoo that I want to talk about, and this, when I heard the real story behind this, it became one of my new favorites. And in case you can't make it out, because it's not the best quality photo ever, it says, "Make a little birdhouse in your soul." And this is my friend Steph, and I know her from high school. And this is a lyric from a band called They Might Be Giants. I don't know if you know them, I don't know them. Awesome. And it's from the first track of their album, Flood, which is apparently a great album. And Stephanie has borderline personality disorder. And I can go into an explanation of what that is, but it's very complicated. But one of the difficult things to deal with when you have borderline personality disorder is that there's always a fluctuation in your mood and your personality, and it makes it very difficult to deal with conflicts, because there's always this fluctuation. You never quite know where you are. There's nothing for you to hold on to. There's nothing that remains constant in your life, and it makes it really difficult to deal with all the challenges that we have to face just as individuals. And, you know, Stephanie has been through more than her fair share in life. She's been through abusive relationships, psychiatric stays, severe depressions. She's really gotten the brunt of it. And what she found was that this band, They Might Be Giants, was something that she could hold on to through all these terrible experiences that she's gone through. And that's also what tattooing is about. It's about, you know, sometimes for those of us who have tattoos, a lot of the times it's about, that's the way that we deal with our shit. We take the conflicts that we have and we put them on our bodies as reminders of what we have faced, what we still have to face, who we are as people, because sometimes you need that constant reinforcement. So, tattooing is art. But tattooing is emotional catharsis as well. Tattoos are badges of courage. They are signs of hope, of passion, of love, anger, fear, lessons learned. Tattoos are what you want them to be. Tattoos are what you need them to be. And that's why we have them. Thank you very much.